So we're talking OpenSCAD stories, and the story today is, let's say you wanted to create a box for your favorite project, be it electronics or any other sort of projects that you're busy with. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One of the sort of easiest rudimentary kind of ways you can do this is you could say you have a box with some X dimension, which is maybe 6. You have, let's define the Y dimension as 8, and what you then want to do is you then want to come up here and there's your square or your box. It's a rectangle. I don't know why OpenSCAD decided to call this a square. It's a generic function that you can use to draw rectangles as well. So everyone knows that, and obviously if I press F6 it shows me that this is still two-dimensional, and if I want to make it a 3D kind of box, I'll have to use linear extrude. Where's my typing gone today? So, and you can maybe define something else called box height, make that maybe a 3 or something. Let's say it's not that high, maybe it's just a lid, and there's your box. Well, it's too big for a lid anyway. So everyone knows this, right? So let's move this one out the way. So I'm going to comment it out. What we want to do is let's say you want these edges to be a little bit rounded. So you want to draw a fancy or semi fancy rounded box. So you can use something like, so let's just say your rounded edge is something like 1.4. And before we do this, let's just define some faces so that this is nice and rounded when it does come out. So you could use something like cylinder. So cylinder with this radius, and it can have a height of essentially your box, right? There, done. There's your cylinder as a start. What you want to do now is do some clever manipulation, which is where the power of OpenSCAD comes into its own. So you could, hold on, why do I have caps lock? There we go. So you could then say, okay, I want to shift this. If you look at your axis here, you want to draw one there and draw one over there, as part of your two pillars, which will later on form a box, as we will discover just now. So I'm going to show you a little neat trick how to do this. So if you go -1 1 right in your for loop, you can then translate the below. You can translate it across the x-axis, and no translations across the z and the y-axis, just the x-axis for now. But actually the x-axis, you want to translate it by that much, or at least by half of it. So if you say times that over 2, if I run this, you can see what I've just done. Okay, I suppose my radius is a little bit much, so what we may want to do is just make it 0.4 or something. There we go. Yep, maybe 0.6. It's getting a little bit too small. There we go, that's better. Using the same method, you essentially can do similar translations across the y-axis. Say that's your x over there, this is now your y, and if you grab these, you could essentially, keyboard's letting me down today, you could essentially, ooh, that's quite interesting, that wasn't supposed to be height, it was supposed to be the x dimension, and here it was supposed to be the y dimension. So if I run this now, it's crashing because OpenSCAD is case sensitive, so it doesn't understand that other variable. There we go. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and these will be centered, right? It's starting to take shape, and how you close it off is by enclosing these 4 using that whole function, which essentially draws your box. Yeah, this is a very quick way of drawing a rounded box and have it ready for your favorite electronics or whatever project that you may be busy with. Just one last parting note, you could essentially change the dimensions of your box quite quickly, quite easily, by just changing those numbers over there, and this little routine will just redraw your elongated box on each side. I hope you find this useful. Thanks for watching. Cheers.